Hello everyone, this is Jackie. So I have recently just obtained my Solution Architect Professional badge. So if you have already booked in your exam or if you are thinking about doing that in the next couple of months, I've got some experience and exam tips that I would love to share with you. So hopefully that can give you a little bit of idea on how to prepare for it, and when it comes to the exam, what strategy to use. So please stay to the end. Now, because you're already thinking about getting a certificate at this level, I would have assumed that you already have a good understanding on what AWS is, why would you want to get one, and what Solution Architect is really about. But if you haven't already, there are tons of other speakers out there who can guarantee persuading you on getting one of this certificate yourself. So I'm gonna skip all that and let's jump right into it. Firstly, a little bit background about myself so that you have a baseline that you can reference to when I talk about easy, medium or hard. It's all from my perspective. I have no IT background. I've been a full stack developer for a little bit around 3 years, and I've only been using very minimal serverless AWS services in my day-to-day job. And previously I have obtained Solution Architect Associate and Developer Associate certificate as well. And yeah, that's about it. So if I can do that, you can certainly do that too. Firstly, straight out of the back, it is very hard. Even experienced software engineer will still have to sit through hours in order to prepare for this exam. However, with that being said, it is definitely a very rewarding journey. If you're someone who enjoys learning and understanding how things work from the bottom, then you may like it, because that's something you certainly will experience throughout the preparation for the exam. So about the exam, it's a Solution Architect Professional C02 version, and it's a 3-hour exam that consists of 75 questions with a passing of 750. And unlike all the other associate exams that I've taken, this time I didn't get the results straight after the exam, which was normally the case. So I only got my results roughly 3 hours after the exam via an email. So to prepare for the exam, I use mainly 3 study material. The first one is Stephen Merrick's Udemy course. The second one is Adrian Cantrill's online course. And also the third one is tutorialDojo's practice exam. So I'll go through them one by one. Firstly, Stephen Merrick's Udemy course. It costs about $42. And it consists of roughly 12 hours of video and 800 pages of slides. I think this course is very detailed. He covers all the AWS services that could ever appear on the exam exclusively in his course. But on the flip side, it's very intense, as it compresses lots of material into 12 hours and 800 pages. So there will be a lot of concepts that he didn't explain quite detailedly about. And those concepts you have to go out and research yourself to fully understand how they work. So overall, I will rate this course 4 out of 5. And don't get me wrong, I use this course as my main study material, and just because that I have to research for all the concepts I don't know outside of this course, that I'm giving it this rate. Moving on to Adrian Cantrill's online course. This course costs about $118, and it's a 60 hours course which consists no slides, and you have a Slack community where you can ask any question. And there's lots of active members, and even Adrian himself will answer the question sometimes. And this course, I have to say, is insanely good. He's a great instructor, everything is incredibly well illustrated, and the amount of detail and information that this course offers is just insane. And Adrian also offered this course called Tech Fundamentals, and it's totally free, where he covers a lot of fundamentals like OSI layers. And again, they're all well illustrated, well presented, and people like me who have zero fundamentals in technology found that's extremely helpful. And I will still access the course even after the exam. So that is definitely worth buying, and I will highly recommend you to check it out. But on the flip side, like I mentioned, this course is extremely long. I didn't manage to finish it. I only use it as a complement to Stephen's course, where when I don't know some concept, I will just go on to Adrian's course to understand it better. But you can probably just use Adrian's course as your main study material. If you can manage to finish all his content, I can guarantee that you will have a very solid understanding of not just AWS, but basically anything technology related in general. Overall, I will give Adrian's course 5 out of 5. So kudos to you, Adrian, for this amazing course. And moving on to my third study material, and that is tutorialDojo's practice exam. And it costs roughly about $18, and it consists of 4 sets of practice exams, and each of them are 75 questions plus a bonus set which consists of 25 questions. And the platform offers review mode and time mode. Time mode is where you can sit the exam as if you are sitting a real exam, and there's a clock to count you down for 3 hours. And the platform also offers this little flag features which resemble the actual exam experience, and is really helpful for my exam strategy, which I will cover in the later section. And again, this material is really worth it. Questions are really great, they're really well curated and explained it quite detailedly as well. And the length of the question and the difficulties are pretty much similar to the actual exam. And I reckon it's a must-have study material for your preparation. So again, I will rate it 5 out of 5. Now moving on to my commitment and how I study for it. Again, this is from my perspective. I understand everybody will have different commitment in life, so feel free to study in your own pace. So for myself, I spent roughly 2 months, and in total I spent over 100 to 120 hours on the preparation. So how I studied for it, in the beginning, I used roughly 1 hour to 2 hours a day to just go through Stephen's course, and whenever I have something that I don't know, then I will probably jump onto Adrian's course to understand it a bit better. And very often I will find myself lacking more fundamental knowledge, which caused me to stay on Adrian's course a bit longer. And at the end, if I still have very detailed technical question, most likely I will just go on to ChatGPT and ask it. And often ChatGPT can verify if my understanding is correct or not. And after I have gone through all slides, I then went back and tidied up all my study notes, and that took me a couple of days. I've tried all type of note-taking mechanism, for instance Notion, mind map, Anki flashcards even, and I don't find any of them are particularly suitable because the amount of contents are just enormous. So I ended up having my notes all over the place. Now that I reflect on myself, if I would have to study it again, then I would possibly just choose one tool and then stick with it, because it doesn't really matter on the structure of your note as long as you find it easy to search and easy to add things to it. And also you need to be organized, and as long as you don't find it overwhelming and it wouldn't stress you out, then you should be all good. And later in my preparation, right after I tidied up all my notes and gone through Stephen's course, I would then commit myself to do some practice exam. At this stage, I would spend roughly 3 to 5 hours a day to really sit through the practice exam. I will alternate my time from one day being doing the actual exams and the next day being reviewing where I get wrong and the thing that I'm not sure and confused about, especially the question that I flagged during the practice exam. And then this stage is where I planned my time very carefully so I don't leave too much of a gap before my actual exam, because I kind of want to sit the exam while my confidence level is still high and I'm still warmed up. The longer I wait, I find myself, the less confident I will be. And if you are also considering Tutorial Dojo's practice exam, here are 3 tips that I have for you. Firstly, it's very normal to not being able to finish the exam, because it's very likely that for the first attempt you will have no strategy and you're going through the exam question by question and reading them word by word. Doing it that way will definitely result in lacking of time, but it's completely normal. I did that too. I have left roughly 15 questions incomplete in my first attempt, so that's totally fine. The second tip is don't panic if you fail the practice exam. To be honest with you, my average out of this 4 practice exam plus the bonus question are roughly 72%, and I have failed every single one of them. So just stay positive, because each question set is designed in such a way that it always has some very hard questions that test on very niche topic. Think about it this way, right? Each of the question sets in a way is depend on each other because they're all well designed to avoid duplication between each of the sets. But the actual exam itself has no correlation to this Tutorial Dojo's practice exam. So the more questions that you see in Tutorial Dojos, the higher chance that a similar question will exist in the actual exam. I hope that makes sense. And my third tip is stay positive and stay confident, because it's a long process, like running a marathon. I have countless of time that I just want to give up on studying and preparing for this certificate, especially right after all the practice exam, which I failed every single one of them. I just feel like I'm not ready, and I've just been telling myself at worst I will just do it again. There's really nothing to lose, so stay confident, because by this time, if you have complete Stephen's course or Adrian's course or sit through all the practice exam, you have already known so much, so believe in yourself. Now moving on to the exam question and my strategy. So I have categorized the exam question into 3 categories, and they are easy, medium and hard. And again, this is out of my experience only. I've categorized them just to help me explain my strategy to you a bit better. With the question that I categorize as hard, those are the questions that I think is very wordy and the answer is also very wordy, or the concepts are very niche and there are obviously no keyword that stands out for you to pick the right answer, and also requirements are very vague, where you have to read a couple times in order to really understand what the requirements are. Those ones I categorize as hard. And out of 75, I would say there are roughly 30% of such questions. Medium questions are either questions are worthy but the answers are short, or the answers are worthy but the questions are short. And there are keywords allow you to eliminate some of the answer and and lock down to at most 2 options. All the requirements are not vague, but there are lots of them. Those ones, I'll consider them as medium. And out of all 75 questions, there are roughly 60% of such questions. And lastly, the question that I categorize as easy, those are the questions that are very short, and the answers are also very short, and there are obvious keywords, and the requirements are very clear, and often you can just pick the right answer at a glance of it. And out of the 75 questions that I was given, there's roughly 10% of such questions. So yeah, that's the category I will give to all the exam questions. And lastly, I will introduce to you the strategy that I use to ensure that you manage your time wisely. And even a non-English native speaker like me can manage to finish the exam on time while having a spare amount of time for myself to review. So this strategy consists of 3 parts. The first part is skipping questions. You need to learn how to skip the question. So if you ever see wordy question, hard question, a question require you to choose 3 options, skip those right away. Don't waste a single second on them. Because from my experience from doing the practice exam, I can tell you, for those type of questions, it's very likely that no matter how long I spend on it, I will end up guessing anyway. So why not just guess it in the end, right? And then for medium questions, and if there are keywords that you can pick up from the question or from the answers, then feel free to go ahead and tackle those questions. What if you have already spent 30 to 40 seconds on the question because you thought that were easy and turns out they are not? I'll suggest that you still finish the question and flag them. This is very important, and I will talk about it later. Make sure you make your most educated guess and then flag them. And this strategy is to ensure that you go through all 75 questions as fast as possible while have the ability to pick up all those easy questions and finish them. Because we want to compress the amount of time we spend on easy questions and use them wisely elsewhere. Trust me, this is very effective. Because from my experience, I can tell if there is an easy question following a hard question, which you spend 5 minutes on, your brain will trick you to think of that easy question as hard as well. So it's highly likely that you will overthink that easy question and spend more time than you should on that question. So that's why I recommend skipping all those hard and medium which you are not confident on and finish all the easy one at one go first. And I think I spent roughly 60 to 70 minutes after I've gone through every single question the first time, just to pick up all the easy one and the one that I'm confident at. And I ended up finishing roughly 40 questions, and I flagged roughly about 10 questions. That's very effective, and that made me feel very well because I think there is still lots of time left for myself to tackle all the challenge questions. So right after I finished my first go, I then took a break. I went to the toilet, I washed my face, and then I drank some water because I want to refresh myself. You don't have to do it, but it's recommended that you mentally reset before you tackle the next challenge. Right after you have gone through all the questions, I think if you're doing a Pearson Test Center exam, then there will be a review features unlocked for you, where you can review all the incomplete question and all the questions that you have flagged. And here comes my second strategy. Review all the incompletes one. You should review them in an order of medium difficulty first and then hard. Why is that? Because like I said before, you will probably end up guessing hard questions. So if you were asked to spend the same amount of time, I'll recommend you spend them on medium. It's higher chance for you to get the medium right than the hard one. So doing it this way, I ended up having roughly 30 minutes left after I complete all the questions, with roughly 20 questions being flagged. And then moving on is my last strategy, where I review all the flag questions, and again, from the one that I'm most certain to the one that I'm least certain. But at this time, I feel extremely confident because I've made my most educated guess, and all I need to do is just to refine them, maybe compare answers, or to look at the requirement a couple more times to make sure that I didn't miss any, and I don't fall into any trap that the question has set up in order to trick me. Okay, that's all the strategy that I would love to share to you. Again, you don't have to listen to me, but it's just the strategy that I find very effective and make me feel relatively confident afterward about my results. So hope that helps. Alright, that's everything I would love to share with you. And at the end, I would love to say you have put so many hard hours into it. So have faith in yourself, stay confident and stay positive. If you feel like you want to break, you want to play some games, you want to go out and meet some friends, by all means. It's a long journey, so you should really take care of yourself and reward yourself when needed. Don't feel like you have to grind through all the concepts in order to feel prepared. No one can ever grind through everything. And like I said, at worst, you can always do this again, right? So good luck. So that's all I want to say. Follow your own pace, manage your time, and hopefully you can all get your certificate one day. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.